Here's something unexpected. Google's next foldable phone has already leaked, and we're still 5 months away from its expected launch. The Pixel 11 Pro Fold, which likely won't arrive until August 2026, has already been revealed in ultra-clear renders. And surprisingly, the biggest takeaway isn't some bold new design. In fact, at first glance, it looks almost exactly like the previous generation. Before we jump in, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. It really helps me keep bringing you more tech breakdowns like this one. That's both interesting and a little disappointing. The Pixel 11 Pro Fold is supposed to be Google's big competitor against the next wave of foldables, devices like Samsung's upcoming Galaxy Z Fold 8 and even Apple's rumored first foldable iPhone. So naturally, people expected something visually different, or at least a clear step forward in design. But according to these early renders, the outside of the phone hasn't changed much at all. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean the device is boring, but it does raise an important question. Where exactly is Google focusing its upgrades this year? Looking at the leaked design, the overall shape and structure remain very familiar. It's still a book-style foldable with a large inner display and a secondary cover screen on the outside. The inner screen reportedly keeps the same almost perfect square or 1:1 aspect ratio. That's actually something many users liked about the previous model because it makes multitasking and reading content more natural. Even the display layout appears mostly unchanged. The inner display still has a small hole punch camera in the top right corner, while the outer cover screen keeps a centered selfie camera cutout. The bezels also look similar, which suggests Google isn't trying to dramatically shrink the frame this time around. But there is one design change that stands out. The rear camera module has been redesigned. Instead of the previous layout, the Pixel 11 Pro Fold appears to feature a more refined and elegant camera island. It's still clearly part of Google's Pixel design language, but it looks cleaner and a bit more modern. It's not a massive change, but it's probably the most noticeable visual update on the entire device. Now let's talk about thickness, because that's another area where foldable phones are constantly competing. According to the leak, the Pixel 11 Pro Fold will measure about 10.1 millimeters when folded and around 4.8 millimeters when unfolded. So yes, it's slimmer, but Google didn't push the limits here. And honestly, that might be a smart decision. Right now, many manufacturers are racing to build the thinnest foldable possible, sometimes at the cost of battery life. Google seems to be taking a slightly different approach. The previous Pixel 11 Pro Fold had a surprisingly large 5015 mAh battery, which was one of its biggest advantages over competing foldables. For comparison, Samsung's Galaxy Z Fold 7 packed a smaller 4400 mAh battery. That extra capacity gave Google's foldable a real edge in daily usage. So the big hope is that Google keeps that battery size the same, or maybe even increases it. If the company managed to make the phone thinner without sacrificing battery capacity, that would actually be a very meaningful upgrade, even if it doesn't look dramatic from the outside. Performance is another area where improvements are expected. The Pixel 11 Pro Fold will almost certainly run on Google's next-generation Tensor G6 processor. That would replace the Tensor G5 chip used in the previous model. While we don't know the exact performance numbers yet, a new Tensor chip typically means faster AI processing, better camera capabilities, and improved efficiency. For a foldable phone, those upgrades could matter a lot, especially when running multiple apps at once or using advanced camera features. And speaking of cameras, that redesigned camera module might not just be cosmetic. If Google upgrades the actual camera hardware and sensors inside, that could make the Pixel 11 Pro Fold stand out in a big way. After all, Pixel phones have always been known for their camera performance. Bringing that same level of photography to a foldable device could be one of Google's strongest advantages. But the timing of this phone could make things complicated. If the expected schedule holds, the Pixel 11 Pro Fold will likely launch in August, which means it could arrive shortly after Samsung's next foldable, and around the same time Apple is rumored to introduce its very first foldable iPhone. So that's a tough environment to compete in. Samsung already dominates the foldable market, and Apple entering the category could instantly bring massive attention to foldable devices. So Google will need more than just a slightly refined design to stand out. The real success of the Pixel 11 Pro Fold might depend on what's happening inside: better performance, stronger cameras, and maintaining that big battery advantage. Because if those upgrades are meaningful, this device could quietly become one of the most balanced foldables on the market. But if the improvements are minor, it risks getting overshadowed by the biggest foldable battle we've seen yet. Either way, one thing is clear: the foldable phone race in 2026 is about to get very interesting. What's your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments section. See you in the next video. Take care.